today with the very talented Pamela S.K. Glasner, and she is a wonderful writer. She contributed a wonderful short story to the festival this year. So, Pamela, the floor is yours. Let's speak about your entry, um, your career, but let's start with your entry because I thought it was really great.
All right, that'll be perfect. Okay, so Finding Emmaus, which is the screenplay that I submitted to the festival. It was what I sent in was the pilot episode for a multi-episode. Excuse me. It was the pilot for a multi-episode TV series. Okay, pardon me. I just graduated from Harvard. I don't have to speak English now that I'm a graduate, right?
Like anyway, a doctor's handwriting, right? Nobody.
That's right. Exactly. Now that I've got the degree, I don't need to speak well anymore. So anyway, it's historical fiction interwoven with fantasy. On the surface, it's about the treatment and mistreatment of the mentally ill over the course of about 350 years, covering two countries, England and America. But mostly what it's about is how society ostracizes and victimizes those that it sees as different, which is generally equivalent to less than. Excuse me, let me set down my coffee. Or those who it perceives as powerless. The story delves into society's inclination to marginalize these populations and then penalize them for being marginalized by treating them like damaged goods. There are heroes and villains throughout the story, so it's history mingled with both flawed and exceptional human behavior, mingled with the fun of fantasy. So that's pretty much what it is. That's like the macro of it. The micro of it is that it's a dark but fictionally fiction, but factually accurate story, which is based on the experience of two people who discover in adulthood that they're not mentally ill. What they are is extraordinarily gifted. And because of that, and because of the appalling things that happens to each of them during the times that they're alive, Frank in the 1600s and Catherine in present day, they actually find a way to transcend time and death, meet each other, and then work together to save millions of other people who are being ostracized and abused because they too are considered mentally ill and therefore damaged goods. So that's pretty much what the story is about.
Wow. I could see it on Netflix with all these layers that you've described. I see it as such a binge-worthy project.
From your lips to God's ears. Thank you.
Amen. Yeah, no, it's true because it has all this richness, talk about world building. I love how you took actual events and gave it a spin to make it your own and really bring out the tragedy in how I don't even want to say mentally ill, mentally different, but we're all mentally different. But, yes, just people that have been, as you so eloquently said, ostracized and put into a category, right? They're just such, it's, they become less human.
Exactly. And you're right. The thing is that you're right. It doesn't have to be an illness. There's this whole group of psychiatrists who think that shyness is a mental illness that needs to be medicated away. Wow. And there are lots of children, particularly in kids, there are lots of children who are shy. It's not an illness. It's just a reaction to life. And I don't think that, and I am especially, I'm very vehement about all the whole thing about medicating our entire society, but especially children. There are And I don't want to start getting into states and cities because I don't want people to get mad at me or you for showing this. There, there are locations in the country where if a parent says, no, I don't want you to put little Johnny on medication, on Ritalin, just because he's hyperactive. Maybe you guys need to create programs where little kids can get up and move, because children need to burn energy, right? Um, there are places in the country where the children can actually be taken away from their parents if the parents don't want to drug them.
My Lord.
And that's not me making it up, and that's not ancient history. That's happening right now. So you're right. People are stuck into these boxes, and that's why I think a lot of parents or a lot of individuals don't want to go for assistance either for their loved ones or for themselves because they're afraid they're going to get uh, labeled and then told this is the only way that you can deal with it. And sometimes if you label somebody, especially if the person is young, you can actually damage them. If they start from a young age thinking there's something seriously wrong with me, then they think they're lacking. They're not as good as other kids in their class or other
Yes.
kids in their church or other kids on their block.
I'm
Something like that.
a big believer in what you're
So
saying in
I am
terms of,
vehemently opposed to.
yeah, like some people, they're labeled HDHD, hyperactive. Um, but those are some of the people that get the most done, and it's not really a problem. It's just a pharmaceutical company trying to push their narrative, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
so I know we can go on. I understand we are cut of the same cloth, I believe. But you went to Harvard, so I want to talk about that.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't mind, no, because I
No,
really
no, no, that's fine. That's
thank
fine. I
you.
I
Yeah.
I went to a film festival a few years ago in New Jersey, run by the Sorvino family. The Paul Sorvino and
Sure,
whatever.
sure.
And Paul passed away in recent history, but his nephew and his nephew's wife run this wonderful film festival in Jersey City, and I had the privilege of being there one year, and I got to be friends with his aunt, and I was talking to her, and I said, and this must have been, well, this was before I started going to Harvard, um, and I said, I must have been like 62 or something like that, and I said, I would love to get my PhD, but I mean, look at how old I am. And she grabbed me by the hand and she took me into another room. I mean, the festival was in full force. There was this big party going on. And she walks me to this other space and she introduces me to a woman who was 10 years my senior and said, tell her what you just said to me. And I said, I think that I'm too old for this. And she said, well, I'm 72 and I just got my PhD.
This,
So
yes. Yeah, no, it's lovely. And is this Paul Sorvino's first wife? God rest his soul, but is this his first wife you're speaking about?
this was his sister,
Oh,
his
sister.
his sister his sister-in-law that I was speaking to, his
Okay,
brother's wife that I was speaking to. Yes.
because I had
So
met, yeah, I had met, I was like how, 6 degrees of separation. I had met Paul Sorvino's first wife. But yeah, no, this whole festival has really been inspiring for lots of reasons. There are so many projects. I just spoke to another one of our entrants today. Her project deals with helping children. And just the topic of ageism has come up often too. I mean, I have seen things online saying that if you're a woman over 42, you qualify as being disabled in this industry. I mean, it was flooring to me. Yeah, like, I don't know, like if people are thinking like, oh, older writers are out of touch, but it's such the contrary. Like, so much more life, so much more experience, so much time to research something. But yeah, there's all these little quirks and hang-ups that I feel society and women in particular really embrace and make part of their personalities. So I think it's so important for women like you to step forward. And by the way, you look 30 years younger than what you say, or I want to see your birth certificate, young lady. I don't believe you.
Well, I am going to have you walk around next to me and keep saying that out loud. Yeah, I'm going to be 70 at the end of this year. Thank you.
God bless. No, no. And yeah, no, it's so important. There's so much value in people. And again, going back to what your story is about, putting people in boxes and saying, okay, this is all you are. This is all you're ever going to be. This is all we expect from you. Because, we have to, nobody's going to give you that permission. You have to overcome your own hurdles, because, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big part of why this story is what it is, because the gift that these people have is called empathy. They're empaths. An empath is somebody who, instead of telepathy, where someone can know your thoughts, empath is they will physically experience your emotions, somebody else's emotions. There's no information that comes along with it. It's just the feeling. So if you're an empath and you're walking down the street and you cross paths with somebody and like they're really upset about something, you will feel it, not just feel it and know it's theirs, but feel it yourself. And leads people to think that they are mentally ill because they're suddenly euphoric or they're suddenly sad and they don't know why. It's the catch. So, and there are people in this world who, even if empathy, I mean, the way that I wrote it is, it's like to the nth degree, but there are people in this world who are very sensitive. I mean, I don't know anybody who has not experienced saying, I was just thinking about that person and they called me. Back in the 1600s, when they thought somebody was mentally ill, they used to literally torture them because they really did. You've heard the word bedlam. That's the nickname for Bethlehem Royal Hospital. And it's where they used to put the mentally ill. And the doctors back then, I mean, I actually got to read documents from the 1600s. It was amazing.
Wow.
As part of my research. The doctors back then actually did believe that the mentally ill were possessed by the devil and that the mentally ill craved torture. And I out to know what people suffered at the hands of professionals who were supposed to be fixing them. We have some images of letters that were written back in the 1600s. The Royal Society of London, they were kind enough, the archivist was kind enough to sit with me and not only show me the work, the letters, it's written in this beautiful calligraphy, but they're 400 years old. So they didn't spell the same. I mean, there were no spelling rules or anything.
Right.
So she actually taught me how to read, basically like a different language.
Wow.
So I could send you some of that. Some of the actual patient records. I don't know. Honestly, I read them. I don't know. I have 3 filing cabinets full of stuff, so I don't know that I could actually find. This is before the days of me saving PDFs because the book was published in 2009.
Oh, you also have a book based on this. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I wrote it from. My novel is called Finding Emmaus. And then somebody had suggested that it would be a good movie. And then The Gilded Age. Did you see that?
Oh,
with Cynthia Nixon?
No, I did not see it. I don't think I saw it. Yeah.
It inspired me to write Finding Emmaus as a series rather than just as a movie. And but yeah, it's a 400 plus page book. It's available on Amazon. And I'm making the series after it.
Beautiful, beautiful. No, I'm super impressed. That's quite a feat. Yeah, no, no,
Thank you.
that's wonderful. Yeah, if you please send me even to like um some cover art I'd like to include in the interview
Oh,
of
I would love to do that.
yeah, yeah, let's really yeah, all this we'll make lemonades out of lemons where it cuts out, I'll fill it in with beautiful like keep your voice in and put in yeah,
Oh, thank
those
you.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I can also, if you don't mind, I would like to send you the link of where it's being sold on Amazon, if that's okay.
Fabulous. Yes, I'll put it in the notes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Excellent.
in the comments.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, of
You
course.
know,
No, it's such an important topic. Yes, go. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. It just, I'm so impressed with you and your festival. I don't know if it's appropriate, but I would like to know more about what you do.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you. Right now, you know, it's not about me. I'm a writer. I've directed a few times. I act. That's how actually I had met Paul Sorvino's first wife. God bless. I believe they're both um, in the hereafter now.
Yes.
But I was in a play and she just happened to be in the audience. She knew one of my fellow cast members very well. And just, yeah, that whole family, she was just like so super kind. Yeah, it was the play all about the wisdom of Eve, you know, based on the film. And yeah, she was super supportive. And again, women being there for women, you know, and you know, but again, I don't want to make this festival just, you know, solely about women. For me, it's a collaboration. You know, we must learn how to collaborate as equals. If you're female, female identifying, you know, it's really about, you know, putting anything that separates us aside, like labels, as we were discussing,
Yes.
and really just focusing on a project, bringing the, you know, the best work forward that we can as a collaborative unit. It'd be an honor to meet you. Yes, no, you're such a lovely person and
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
so
Same to you.
truly talented. Thank you. Yeah, no, I also saw one of your films because you also direct.
Actually, I did. You're talking about Last Will and Embezzlement.
Yes, yes.
Yes. I was not the director on that. I was the producer on that.
Okay.
Um, I have another film project that I would very much like to do, but it requires me having a lot more time. And I was, you know, I just finished school last month, so I'm yes. So now I have some time, and now I would like to get this other. I would like to get another project, completely different about wild horses, completely different.
Ah, amazing, amazing. Where did, you know, it's so interesting. I'll never stop being fascinated by this, of just where creativity and ideas come from. Like you were mentioning before, like with the empathy, you know, and I talk, I know for me and for another entrance that I interviewed, you know, she was saying it's almost like dictation. Like she'll just hear characters talk, and that's the way it is for me too, somewhat sometimes. How is it for you? Um,
I have a picture, which unfortunately you can't see. It's hanging on my wall. It's a beautiful pencil drawing, a very, very intricate pencil drawing of an elderly man sitting on, he's, he's weaving a basket. I know that because that he's sitting in a covered bridge, but you can't see any of that behind him. But the guy's got to be like in his 90s and he's weaving this basket. And he was a real person in Vermont, and his name is Frank. And I had this story in my head. And then one day I was standing there just looking at this drawing. The artist is just such an incredible talent. And it just came into my head. That's Frank. He's the father of empathy. He wrote the book on it. And then the book got lost and faded into history and went into legend. And American history is only about 390 years old. So I'm limited there. So okay, so 390 years ago, they were Puritans. Okay, Frank was a Puritan. And so that kind of gave me his culture and his background and his religion and how people who were different would have been treated. And that's really how it was born. It was that piece of it. And then I really wanted to compare it with present day. So some of the story, Catherine, is in some places actually loosely based on my own personal experiences of having been labeled, um, labeled, and then mistreated as a result of the label. So, and the stories then just kind of came together.
Wonderful.
But I never felt like I was writing it. The whole time I was writing it, it was like it was coming down from the heavens, down my arm. I handwrite everything. My big edit is typing it, but I handwrote 1,000 pages. Wow. But it was like down the arm, into the hand, through the pen, onto the paper. And I did my best writing when I just let it happen. When I tried to interject what I thought should be in the story, those were the things I had to keep rewriting. It was when I just let it happen that the story just. And then the very first woman I spoke to, the very first agent I spoke to took it, and the very first publisher she spoke to took it. It was like God wanted this book to be published, And I never published a book before. I never had an agent. I never had a publisher. I never knew anything. It all happened.
Wow. Wow. See, you touched on so much there. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. But like the spiritual aspect of our existence is so muted, I feel, in society as general. And I feel art is really an expression of that, like perhaps the purest expression of it, because like you said, when you just let it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, it's like you and I both knowing the same family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just things. I think there's that expression, all things happen for a reason. I don't know if I'm necessarily, but I do believe in karma. I think that things, when you're supposed to meet somebody or something is supposed to happen, it just does.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, I love the expression, there's no such thing as coincidence. It's God's way of remaining anonymous.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
That. Okay, yeah. I hope you keep that in the recording, because I'm going to write that down.
Okay. Yes, no, certainly. Certainly. Yeah, no, that might be a good note for people to.
There's no such thing as coincidence. It's just God's way of remaining anonymous. I got to tell that to my priest. She's going to love that.
Lovely, lovely. Do you want to tell us what's next for you? You're going to focus now on this other script about horses and getting that going, and in the meantime, it sounds like you have a lot going on.
I do want that would be my next directing project. I'm hoping that if this pilot gets enough attention, that I'll attract the attention of producers and investors, because I really would like to get that going. In which case, I need to finish the entire series. So that would be the very next thing that I'm already working on. It's in progress, but that would kind of give me the kick in the pants to finish it. And I'm also working on book 2. After the Lodestar, excuse me, there's another book after that. So I'm working on that as well. And in between all of that, I sleep a few hours a night.
Yeah, really. I can just imagine, right? Yeah, especially in development, and that must be so hard. Like do you wake up each day and saying, okay, I'm going to allot this much time to this project, then allot that much time for this project, or where the spirit moves?
I wish I could be that organized. No, I am just, all of a sudden I'll just I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll think of something. And if you think of something at 2 o'clock and you don't write it down, you won't remember it in the morning. So I have to get out of bed and I have to write it down. And once I start writing, then the next thing I know, it's 9 o'clock in the morning and my cats are yelling at me because they're starving to death. So no, I don't. I would love to say that I am that organized, but no, I'm not.
You get it done anyway. So yeah. I'm just curious because as somebody else who's like always like I got to do this project and that project and that. So I was just genuinely curious too, as yeah.
I'm looking for ways to clone myself so I can get each of us working on a separate project.
We might get there sooner than than later. Yes, yes. Yes. All right, Pamela, any closing words of inspiration to other females out there or males? Like I said, I don't want to, discriminate anyone. Just for all the creatives out there, just some closing words of inspiration for them, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Well, I think the thing that I would say is that what my grandmother used to say to me, which is that nobody and nothing can stop your dream without your complete cooperation.